Hi everyone, it's Plastic EP, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to one of my friends, Jimmy McGEACHY. McGEACHY is the pronunciation, and Jimmy has done a lot of things. He's actually ended up playing on the McGEACHY song, which is the biggest selling song of all time from Paul McCartney. Now, Jimmy, say hello to everybody and tell us your fantastic story.
Good day, how you doing, everybody? Plastic, how's things in this beautiful autumn day in Melbourne? It's a lovely day. Yeah, back in 1977, it all started. So I come from Campbelltown, the west coast of Scotland, and Paul had moved there with Linda, I think about 67 or 68, just going through the last Beatle days. It was a place for him to get away from it all. Yeah, so 1977 rolls around and I'm playing drums in the local pipe band. He approached the local pipe band, Tony Wilson, the pipe major, asked us to go and play on this track. And of course, at that time, the Beatles asking us to play on a track, we thought, what's going on? He's smoking the old hooch again. So it all eventuated and we practiced for a couple of weeks and went up to the farm to record. It was August 1977. August the 9th it was. It was a Tuesday night, still remember it. We went to the farm and met all the crew. They'd just come back from the Virgin Islands. They were recording the London Town album. So Denny was there, Joe English was there, Jimmy McCullough wasn't there. He'd actually just left the day before. There was a bit of a falling out with him and Paul, which is well documented, as you know now. And we did the record that night and didn't think anything of it afterwards. A couple of weeks later, we got this acetate in the mail from Abbey Road. Single pressing acetate, you know, the acetates are about 3-4 mil thick. And this was a track, this was Paul with us on the track. Basic, raw, no other production done to it. I've still got that. And that became real then. You know, it was like, wow. And then we got a notification in the mail again to go to do a video. We did a video up at home in the McGEACHY. And then the following month, we went down to London, down to Elstree Studios. We did a second video there, and then we did a third video at the top of the Pop Studios at the BBC. So it was, an amazing time. That's a condensed story for you, Plastic, but that was my introduction into the music world.
Jimmy, that's unbelievable because let me tell you, that video clip with the bagpipe band is walking on the beach, that's fantastic. And that's all your friends. That's like, that lives in everyone's mind because it's a great song. I mean, how old were you actually then? How old were you?
I was actually just turning 15. I turned 15 on the 26th of August. So I was 14, turning 15. It was an amazing time. And, you know, over the next few years, we caught up with Paul and Linda and the band. When Wings did their last tour in 79, we did live dates with them. They were great days. Yeah. And, you know, to this day, it's still the biggest selling non-charity single. And it's dear to Paul's heart. It was his first solo #1 after the Beatles. The previous records he put out, like Maybe I'm Amazed, My Love, Live and Let Die, none of those tracks got to #1, but he's got the soft spot for McGEACHY.
I've got to ask you, you showed me a cigarette pack and I saw it, and that was signed. Who signed that? Was that Linda and Paul signed that?
Yeah, Linda and Paul. That was from the night. It was a packet of menthol, actually, St. Moritz, that Linda was having a sneaky cigarette. She was pregnant with James. Side story, actually, I was back in London last year and I met up with James, which is really nice and special.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was amazing. Danny Clifford, the rock photographer, was having an exhibition in Hampstead, and I was just walking past the exhibition. I didn't realise who it was or what it was, and I just seen a picture outside of a iconic, I think it was one of the Noel Gallagher, it was Noel Gallagher, I think, outside. So I thought, what's going on in here? So I went in, and it was all, the walls were full of all these rock musicians from the 60s right up until nowadays. And of course, there's images there of Paul and Linda. And I thought, well, this guy's obviously, he knew them. So when I went and I met up with Danny, and we started talking. He loved the story, obviously, and we swapped numbers. And he said, look, the exhibition finishes in 2 weeks. Come back, we're doing a little private show. He says, James is coming here to play a wee solo gig inside this. It was a wee mini, little church. Yeah, so I met him there after the gig. Danny introduced me to him, and yeah, it was very, Nice, really nice guy. Very quiet, you know, very humble. But yeah, it was good meeting him.
Jimmy, I got to see the picture now in the book. Show everybody the picture in that book that you got.
The Beatles in Scotland. Yeah.
Yep.
I've got it here for you.
Please show them the cover.
So I can...
Show us the cover first. That's it. Stay there so they can see it. I can up a bit. The Beatles in Scotland. Okay, fantastic. Let's see that photo.
There is a chapter in here. You can still buy this book. I didn't buy all of them. There's a chapter in here on the band when we did some recordings. I'll show you. There's actually one. Let's see now. Oh, there you go. That was us. We did one of the
Bring it and hold it. Hold it there, Jimmy. Hold it. Fantastic. That's you with the dartboard there in the pub. What pub was that?
It wasn't the pub. That was actually backstage at the Glasgow Apollo, 1979. That's where that was. It wasn't in a pub. Actually, this is a photo at the same time. There's me with Linda.
Fantastic.
Actually, what one when he's in Melbourne. There he is in Melbourne. Melbourne town.
What year was that one?
That was 93. That was the last time he came, and then obviously he came a couple of years ago. Again, lucky enough to get backstage. He's got the soft spot for the Beatles. Do you know a wee story? When I was in London last year, one of my favourite drummers growing up was Clem Burke. I think many of your viewers will know Clem Burke. He's the drummer at Blondie. Very iconic drummer. He's from New York. He's from Manhattan, but he loves all the British culture. And if you know the guy, you'll know what I mean. So, but when I was growing up, I used to listen to him a lot. Well, I got the chance to meet him when I was in London a couple of times actually, and he's a Beatles fan, so he got to know about my story. And he said, "Do you know something, Jimmy?" He says, "Anytime I've been in a green room, anywhere at a concert, and McCartney's been there, or his band's been there, I've knocked on the door, tried to get in, doesn't want to see me, can't get in." But I told him my story, and I says, "Paul, backstage to Paul, because he's still got that soft spot for us back in the Mulligan from those days."
That's so unbelievable story.
And actually, this is when Paul was here in Melbourne the last time.
Let's have a look. Yeah, fantastic. That one there. That's the last concert he came here.
Yeah.
And what year was it he came? Last year, wasn't it?
That was last year, 2018, wasn't it? 18. And then,
now, Jimmy, I want you to tell me the special story about two special guitars that you took to the stadium to give to Paul McCartney. I want you to tell me the name of the company, how big they are, and the story behind the two guitars.
Yeah, look, well, what happened, Plastic? You know, when he was coming, and I knew I could get the chance. Didn't know 100% I was going to meet him, but I thought there's a good chance I can get backstage, you know, because he knows me. So I thought I'm going to give it a go. Well, my friend Miles Jackson is the CEO at Cole Clark Guitars, and there's two guitar companies in Australia that are manufacturing here. There's Maton, most people know them, and then there's Cole Clark. They started up with a couple of the Lutherans left Maton, and they started up their own business. Well, Miles, a good friend of mine, he runs it out there. Handmade. There's no machinery. Other guys make the guitars by hand. So I thought to Miles, it'd be a nice gift, a nice memento for Paul to get a Cole Clark guitars, and you know, a memory coming to Australia. And Miles was blown away. So of course, it'd be great if we could get a guitar into Paul's hands. So Miles got two beautiful guitars made, Australian Blackwood guitars, and took them up to Paul, and he picked one of them, and he's got that now in his collection. That was a nice story, and the boys at Cole Clark, they make beautiful instruments.
Jimmy, can I ask you, where's the factory located?
That's just in Bayswater, in eastern Melbourne, eastern suburbs of Melbourne. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So if anyone wants a guitar, they're obviously in all the guitar shops, all the great guitar shops around the world. So make sure you check out those guitars. Now, I want you to finish off that story, because those two guitars, they're different colors. And I saw the photos. So describe to me the two guitars, and then describe to me his security at the back that you got to know, and how it came that he chose the one guitar. Can you tell me that story?
Yeah, it came back. We took them to the backstage area where we were, and he's actually got a Scottish guy, and he came round. He's his main guy now, his confidant that looks after him. He came and seen me, took me aside, and he put the 2 guitars out. There was one, he had a bit of a beading through the centre of it, and the other one was a more plain finish. And it was the plain finish one that he selected. Yeah.
What colour was that one?
Yeah, black wood.
Yeah, but did it look like black and white, or did it look like brown, the wood? What colour was the wood?
Oh, no, the wood's that nice stained wood, just beautifully stained. Yeah. It's Australian blackwood. Either or they're called blackwood, but when they're cut, they still get that nice luster to them. They're beautiful and sound amazing.
Now, what else can you tell me about
I need a haircut. That's what I need. I know I need a haircut because of this lockdown. I'm starting to look like a bloody Beatle. Look.
No, you look good. Tell everybody your T-shirt what it is.
Oh, this is Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. There's these guys were around the same time as the Beatles, actually. Most people would know them. Derek and Clive, this is them. This was their characters. Peter Cook and Dudley Moore, 2 amazing, beyond their years comedians. They were outstanding and really funny and dark as well. Yeah.
I got to ask you now. You got to know Linda McCartney very well, all right?
Yeah, she was like.
She must have been one of the nicest, down-to-earth people you can meet. Just tell me a couple of stories about meeting Linda.
Oh yeah, beautiful lady. You know, because we were just young boys, and anytime we were interacting with them, she was just looking after us. She's very motherly. That's how you describe Linda. She's just so caring. Always looking out for you. You know, there's a lot of things going on around. She'd make sure we were okay. Just, you know, one funny thing is, one day we were eating the lunch, the catering lunch had arrived, and we're looking around for knives and forks. And simple thing that she would say, she goes, "Get stuck into it. Use your hands, guys. Tastes much better when you used to eat the food with your hands." One thing I've always remembered.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh, she's a lovely lady, and it's evident in the children. You know, with Heather and Mary and James, you can see that.
Yeah, I mean, very humble life, and they've been raised up, those kids. You know, really great. You got to hand it to Paul and Linda. Just 2 of the nicest people. I mean, have you got another McCartney story you can tell me before we go?
Oh, there's many of them. You know, even just at the time when I met him, this most recent time in Melbourne, he was coming up the corridor behind backstage at Amy Park, and already before he's walking up and he sees me, he starts singing like in a Campbelltown accent from a hometown. He puts his Scottish accent on, but not just an ordinary Scottish accent, one like mine from the West Coast. He's really, really good guy as well. Makes you feel welcome, makes you humble too, and cracks jokes with you, and so you know you don't get nervous around him. He makes you relaxed. Yeah.
Jimmy, is there any other Beatle collectibles you got off the top of your head you can tell us about?
Oh, a myriad of different things, you know, from over the years. Yeah, just signed things from different times when we met them, and no, lots of stuff. You know, if we ever meet up again, we can talk about that as well. Plastic. And how's
Jimmy
your show going?
McGeachy,
how's your show going?
It's going great. I've got to tell you, to have you on the show today is fantastic, and the stories you've told us and told the world, unbelievable. But as I said, for him to remember you and appreciate everything you did back then, and you're a young man and you're still a young man, right? It's something that's with you all your life. It's like it's changed your life.
Yeah. Definitely changed a life. He changed a lot of people's lives, and he changed the town. Campbelltown. If you have a look online, anybody, go to Campbelltown, spelt with 1 L, not Campbelltown. There's a lot of history there, and he put the town on the map with Mull of Kintyre. Yeah,
now, what I've got to ask you is, I've heard that his farm is very inaccessible. It's very hard to get to, and you need like a 4-wheel drive. And you read about this in the 60s when he was up there and they thought Paul was dead, and they went and found him, the people. But the thing is, you've been there, and you know how hard accessible it is.
Yeah.
Tell me how hard it is to get to his farm. How did you get to his farm?
Oh, yeah, look, it's you've got to know where to get off the road. You know, there's just little wee roads there. And he's isolated. He's got 3 farms, actually. So the 3 properties all joined together. And, they've let it go. So him and Linda didn't cultivate the land. So they're a wee bit, the local farmers obviously get their money from the land and agriculture and cultivate it. So Paul and Linda let it go back to nature. So trees started to pop up again, like in the West Coast. As in most places where it's been cultivated, all the trees are gone. So they started to pop up. Deer was in there, grouse, wild cats. So it went back to nature. So when you're going up there, it's actually, You do need a 4-wheel drive to get through. It's all high grass. And it's beautiful. Jurassic Park.
I've seen your videos that you took last time when you went back home, and it was you driving the car and you showed everybody where you went. So the Mulla Kintyre is the water. That's what it is,
That's
isn't
right.
it?
Yeah.
And
The Kintyre is a peninsula, so it's 30 miles long, 5 miles wide. The little town at the end is called Campbelltown. Mull in Gaelic means end of land. So the Mull is the end of the peninsula, Mull of Kintyre, and that's the area. So in Paul's Farm is in the centre of the peninsula. Yeah.
see, if you didn't explain that, who knows that? All I know Mulla Kintyre, but you're actually explaining what the Mulla Kintyre means, which to me is very important because there's always stories behind songs. And I mean, he actually put you guys on the map because he was there.
Yeah. Literally, yeah. Check it out, everybody that's looking. Have a look at the west coast of Scotland. It's actually a whiskey town. So in the Prohibition days, back in the early 1900s, so it was quite a rich town. A lot of big mansions, sandstone mansions, because all the distilleries making whiskey to go across to Boston and New York. Now it's just a little tourist town. It's a fishing town. But back in the day, it was a centre of industry when it was the whiskey. There's still a couple of distilleries there. If you can search them up, if anybody's a single malt drinker, it's Springbank. And the other one is called, I'm trying to think of the name of the other one. Forgot the name of the other one. Kinloch. So that's the malt whiskies that come out of the town.
Jim, I've got to ask you, right? You compare our beaches in Australia and we got sun and we got everything. I take it the water there, the malt, you can still go in the water, but it's freezing cold. It's not like our beaches, is it?
Yeah, you can.
Right?
People surf there as well, but you have to wear the wetsuits or a dry suit. It's just a bit colder, but the surf is nice and the beautiful beaches as well. You'll see a lot of footage of Paul and Linda. If you look over the years, you'll see them on the beach up there, just down from the farm. They go on the west coast there, and yeah, it's beautiful.
You know, Jimmy, I can't thank you enough for doing the interview. And Beetle people out there, they're going to love what they're hearing with this interview. And all I say is Plastic EP, stay safe. Take us out, Jimmy, and say goodbye to everybody. And thanks again.
Goodbye to all your audience. Plastic, take care, everybody. Keep safe.
Thank you, Jimmy.